Chief Imam not ready for wrong helicopter crash burials. Now, the Chief Imam of the Republic of Ghana has been the Chief Imam for a number of years now. He's a beloved fellow. A lot of people love him, and he's resident at Fadama. My brother, my sister, he's clocked 100 years already. It's a blessing for a man to be able to live this long. There were a few controversies around him involving some prophecies a few years back that said that he was about to kick the bucket. And instead of getting angry, he came out and said, listen, if you hear the voices of the spirits, when the spirits talk to you, be careful how you propagate the information. Some of the spirits are liars. Some of the spirits don't speak the truth. And he was right. It has come to pass. He is still alive after several years of his death being prophesied. In fact, his followers got so angry. His sympathizers were very angry, and they attacked the church of Reverend Isaac Owusu Bempa. At the time, he accused the NDC of doing that. My brother, my sister, today he's in bed with the NDC, and everything about the NDC sounds so sweet in his ears. Is it not interesting times? Well, the Chief Imam is here. He's never been known to be politically exposed. People from all the parties in Ghana go to him for prayer. He lays hands on them, prays for them. My brother, my sister, those who have gifts for the people of the area, go and give this to him, and he makes sure that it's sent across the Muslim community where people need these gifts. This is the Chief Imam of the nation called Ghana, Alhaji Sharubutu. I love him. My brother, my sister, there was a helicopter clash. Yes, it clashed up right there in the air. My brother, and there was a clash, we were told, between a tree and the helicopter. It ended up in a helicopter crash. My brother, my sister, I have always been scared of flying. Anytime I am flying, I feel so uneasy. Because this is something that flies in the air. If there's a problem, you cannot ask the passengers to come down so you will loosen the tie and fix it. If there's a puncture, you cannot tell passengers to come down so that you will fix the puncture and then you will fly. Any problem that you have in the air, you either solve it or it will solve you. My brother, my sister, the Dagombes have a beautiful song we used to sing in the days as little children. Ala play nang poncha, zoksa na mi yalambala. Ala play nang poncha, zoksa na mi yalambala. And children, we used to sing it, not knowing that the reality will befall us very, very soon. What's the meaning of the song? If the aeroplane goes up there and there's a puncture, then this is the problem of those who are up there. When the aeroplane flying up there has a puncture, a tire puncture, then it is a big problem for those up there. My brother, my sister, it might sound humorous, but when you are in that situation, when there's even a scare, many people vow never to fly again. There are so many celebrities who hate flying. One of them is R. Kelly, Robert Kelly, and of course, Whoopi Goldberg. No matter what you do, they will never fly. They hate flying. I hate flying as well, but time after time, I just jump onto the plane because I have to do things, and I pray to the Almighty Father and say, Father, pass this cup over my head and send it away, if this is my destiny. My brother, my sister, we had some of our gallant comrades go down when a Z9 military-style helicopter crashed. We were told that there was a clash between the helicopter and a tree, a tall tree, because the helicopter was flying low and 8 people went down the drain. Dr. Edward Omani Buama, an only son of the mother. Alhaji Dr. Ibrahim Mutala Muhammad, Minister of Environment, he went down. Alhaji Muniru Muhammad went down. Dr. Samuel Sapon went down. Dr. Samuel Abwaji went down. Peter Anala went down. Manaim, Chum, and Pedu went down, and Esado also went down, a sergeant. My brother, my sister, and Ghana has been mourning. Now, the sad thing is that when the helicopter crashed, it instantly went ablaze. And this is normal because the kind of fuel that these objects use, they are so volatile. In other words, they easily catch fire. They are highly inflammable. Aviation fuel is several times more inflammable than the petrol you use in your car. Several times more inflammable than the kerosene you use in your lantern, than the diesel you use in diesel cars. So most of the time when a plane crashes, especially when it hits a hard surface, it catches fire. My brother, my sister, and it's normally the fumes that kill people in the plane crash. The fumes, the smoke, and of course the scent of the aviation fuel, we are told. I'm not going to pretend to be an aviation specialist, but that is what the aviation people tell us. But where the plane catches fire and passengers are so helpless, they cannot break the windows and come out. They are weak, especially when they use seat belts. They might just be at the mercy of the flames. And that was what happened to our gallant 8 comrades that went down the drain when they flew from Accra, heading towards Obuasi for an anti-Galamsey launch. Today, my brother, my sister, their bodies have been burnt, charred beyond recognition. And the chief imam says that if he has to do a burial, he must know straight away whose body this is, whose body that is, so that they do not waste prayer on people who do not need that prayer. This is deep. And I need you to please think properly. Come along. What I'm saying is this. Chief Imam is saying that yes, we know that there were some 2 Muslims on board. But we Muslims, we are only permitted to say Janazah prayers for Muslims and Muslims only. Janazah prayers simply mean funeral prayers or prayer for the dead before burial. My brother, my sister, there were 2 out of the 8. Where are the 2 Muslims? Their bodies have been burnt beyond recognition. We want to be sure that this is the body before we call Muslims to come together and stand and say Janazah prayers for this. Christian people are not permitted by Islam. Hindu people are not permitted by Islam. Any other faith is not permitted by Islam to enjoy Janazah prayers. And again, when Muslims die, they are preferably buried in Muslim cemeteries. So when a Muslim dies, the dead body or the corpse is carried by Muslims, prayed for, and carried to a cemetery where other Muslims are buried. If that facility is there, preferably, that is what they do. My brother, my sister. So these 2 Muslims, the chief imam is waiting patiently to have the bodies identified. That is why they have not been buried yet. Muslims are not permitted to say Janazah prayers for Christians, for Hindus, for Buddhists, and some other such faiths. Only Muslims. And Muslims, preferably, have to be buried in Muslim cemeteries. That is why in Accra here, when you go to Awudomi Cemetery, in fact, we have Muslims on one side and Christians on one side and other faiths, on the other side, and Muslims are on the other side. They are separated. And the reason I am told is that when the angels descend, they will go to the Muslims. In fact, but where other faiths are buried with the Muslims, they might hinder the process. They might hinder, my brother, my sister, the arrival of the angels. I am not a Muslim cleric. I'm not going to pretend that I understand this so well. But the little that I have learnt, my brother, my sister, Muslims love to be buried differently. So even in death, we are separated. Hey, you can be the best of friends. If one is a Muslim and the other one is not, when your best Christian friend dies, there is no way you are permitted, in fact, to say janazah prayers for this Christian person. Let alone handle the dead body and go and bury it. Muslims are so particular with the dead. They bury immediately. They don't waste time. They pray and all that, and they prefer that they are buried in a separate cemetery from the rest of the other faiths. So in death, we are separated. We could be the best of friends. When we die, depending on whether one is a Muslim or Christian, you are separated. Because when the angels visit, they will go to the Muslim cemetery, and they might not be happy that some people have been buried in there that are not Muslims. So Muslims make sure that these people are buried away from Muslims. My brother, my sister, it's an interesting belief. So religion also separates us, whether we like it or not, like political parties. My brother, my sister, I'm going to tell you another thing that is very interesting. When Muslims are buried, they are buried differently. Christians might bury with coffins. Muslims don't bury with coffins, and this is common knowledge. Everybody knows that. My brother, my sister, when a man dies, and you are not sure whether this is a Muslim or a Christian, normally they would have to ask the wife, did he say his 5 daily prayers whilst he was alive? If the wife says yes, then you are qualified to be a Muslim and be buried like a Muslim. My brother, my sister, the point here is that even in death, we are separated. We could be the best of friends, eat together, sleep together, hug, work together, do everything together. In death, depending on whether one is a Muslim or not, you will be buried in different cemeteries. For the sake of the angelic visits and even more. Yes, you can commiserate with a family member who is not a Muslim. But my brother, my sister, to have janazah prayers said for the dead for a non-Muslim is prohibited in Islam. Again, when this person is going to be buried, unless the person is your close family member, Muslims are not advised to go to the cemetery or even follow. But when a Muslim is dead, whether the Muslim that is dead is from Kenya or Nigeria, even if you are a Beninois or a Cameroonian, as a Muslim, you are advised to follow this corpse to the grave and say prayers. So it's all about whether you are Muslim or not. In death, there would be a big division. Let us get the proof as published. This is the Black Pot, aka Kukushonemo, where we speak truth to power. And that's it. Ghana Web, it says, we don't want any mistaken identities. Chief Imam on suspension of Muslim burials. Run it. Watch this. Now the spokesperson to the Chief Imam, Sheikh Armiyao Shaibu, has provided an explanation for the suspension of burial in accordance with Islamic tradition and customs for the 2 Muslims among the 8 individuals who tragically died in the fatal helicopter crash. Now speaking on Joy News on Friday, that's today, August 8, 2025, Shaibu justified the suspension, explaining that the circumstances surrounding the deaths of the 2 individuals, especially the explosion caused by the impact of the crash, specifically the explosion caused by the impact of the crash, which charred their bodies, made it nearly impossible to determine their identities. Can I take it again? Speaking on Joy News on Friday, August 8, 2025, Shaibu justified the suspension, explaining that the circumstances surrounding the deaths of the 2 individuals, especially the explosion caused by the impact of the crash, which charred their bodies, made it nearly impossible to determine their identities. He said that to avoid a case of mistaken identity, they decided to allow experts to determine the identities of the deceased victims in order to link them to their rightful families. Now, in this particular case, We will look at the circumstances under which these two Muslims died, the state of the body, and what is required in order to be able to establish the true and authentic identity of the two, so that we don't do what we call mistaken identity and give one particular body to a different family to which it does not belong. So it makes sense that while we apply the Islamic rule of flexibility, which in Islam there is a principle, this is necessity can make what is prohibited permissible. Shaibu further explained, under certain circumstances, what is not permissible can become permissible, and Islamic ruling in jurisprudence can allow that. On that basis, we can understand and allow the suspension of the burial and then allow the scientists or those experts to do their duty in determining the true identity of those who have passed so that we can link them up with their families. If we don't do that, we might replace or mistakenly give the body to a family to which the deceased does not belong. I think it will not be fair to anyone to suffer such a thing. The 8 perished victims were en route to Obuasi for an event when the fatal crash happened. The names of the perished we mentioned were all confirmed, my brother, my sister, by the state. 3 Air Force officers, namely Squadron Leader Peter Anala, he was the pilot, Flying Officer Chum Ampedu, and Sergeant Ernest Ado Mensah. They all went down with the politicians. My brother, my sister, this is Sheikh Amiyao, and he has made it clear that it is better to be able to get the right identities of these people who have perished so that they will be given to their right families. Again, they would be very happy to know exactly which one was the Muslim body and which one wasn't the Muslim body so that proper janazah prayers can be said. Finally, let me ask you a question. So if they are unable to tell which body was who, what happens? They would say a general prayer for all of them, and then they would imagine that the 2 of them who were Muslims, my brother, my sister, in their heads and pray for them. And that is also acceptable, I believe. My brother, my sister, we pray that they are able to identify these bodies. We pray that they are able to come up with the right identities. But where are the bodies going to be flown to? Do you know? How are they going to find which body belongs to which family? After all the bodies were charred beyond recognition. Do we have a forensic unit in Ghana? Yes. The Ghana police has a new forensic unit, well equipped. But do we have real forensic scientists? My brother, my sister, it looks like Ghana needs help. And Ghana is taking some samples all the way to South Africa to be able to identify this. Now, Black Wednesday, why samples of victims was flown to South Africa for DNA test? And this is the Minister of Health. His name is Akando. And that's what he's saying. He said the government on the evening of Thursday, August 7, 2025, transported the samples of the charred remains of the 8 victims who died in the helicopter crash at Adansi Akrofum in the Ashanti region on Wednesday, August 8, 2025, to South Africa for DNA tests. Now the DNA test for the deceased has become necessary to help identify the victims whose remains were completely burnt in the crash. Now, the announcement of the decision to seek DNA tests in South Africa was criticized by a section of the public who questioned why the test could not be done in Ghana. But the health minister, Kwabena Minta Akando, addressed the issue at the Golden Jubilee terminal of the Kotoka International Airport after the plane transporting the samples took off. He indicated that even if the DNA test can be done in Ghana, a second test outside the country is needed for confirmation purposes. Dash it away. My brother, the truth is that they can't do it in Ghana. That's it. My brother, when we talk about forensics, it's not a joke. Ghana hasn't reached there yet. We have not invested enough in the forensics. Now, fire can destroy DNA. Are you aware? And when fire destroys a lot of evidence, when fire destroys the DNA, you may have to use other ways forensically to be able to determine what. Now again, how are they going to be able to determine this? They are going to need close family relations so that in case they are able to pick the DNA from the child bodies, they would use that to compare. Should I explain it again? Now, the child remains that have been taken away. They will test them to find out first and foremost if they could find any DNA in it. Because fire can destroy DNA. I am a forensic student and I love forensics. It's my favorite program on TV. My brother, my sister. I say fire can destroy DNA. First and foremost, they would have to find out if the fire has been bad enough to destroy the DNA. And if it's like that, then it's going to be hard to find the identities of these persons. We may have to use other methods, forensics, to be able to deal with this. But if we are lucky enough to have the fire not bad enough to destroy the DNA, my brother, my sister, then they will pick up the DNA from each body and compare that with the living family members, close family members. For instance, in the case of Dr. Omanibuama, his mother is still alive. So they will compare the DNAs and see which one matches with the mother. And then they will say, okay, so this is Dr. Omanibuama. With Alhaji Mutala, his children are alive. They can do that. And for all the others, they will have to look for their children or they look for their parents. If both of them are alive, then it even makes it better. That is, if the DNA can be found in the child bodies. This is science, forensic science. My brother, my sister, it is my prayer that we are able to find the bodies, because in Ghana, the bodies are most important to us. We want to be able to revere the dead, especially if they are so close to us as a family. We do not want to have doubts. Castro, who died, a musician, up till now we've not been able to find his body. Only God knows how much trauma the family is going through. Families would year after year would like to go to the graveside and believe that their beloved ones are still down there. But where the body is not found or the body is misplaced, it casts a lot of doubt, and families might not be too happy about this. My brother, my sister. So apart from the Islamic side, where it is only permitted to say janazah prayers for Muslims, and also to bury them in Muslim cemeteries where it is available, there is also the DNA side to appease the families and more. It's a huge problem. Now, it brings us to the issue of the forensics. Are we ready to build a proper forensic history of Ghana? Are we ready to invest in forensic science? It's a whole institution, my brother, my sister. It can be used to fight crime and much more. How many people in Ghana are interested in forensic science? In Ghana, before you study any discipline, one of the key deciding factors is, would I get a job after I finish? It's not about the interest anymore. It's about a job after you finish. And that is very sad. You go to school and you want to study how to play dondo. And people are teasing you. Dondology. Oh, who is going to employ you to come and play dondo? You see our mentality. Yet, you are so happy to study Chinese. Because when you finish, you go to China and speak Chinese there. and be employed there, to work there. How many people are interested in the forensic science? How many people are going to learn? Any which way. Our prayer is that the bodies are all identified and given to the rightful families, and the appropriate religious rituals performed to appease the dead. But Islam also has an allowance where we can't find a body, yet we are sure that this person is dead. We can still say janaza without the body there. I believe I am right. This is the Black Pot, aka Kukushodomo, where we speak truth to power. Remember, even in death, we are still divided. In life, religion divides us. Somebody refuses to talk to this person because he doesn't believe in his religion. He doesn't belong to his religion. As if that will end in death. Even in death, some people have to be buried in different cemeteries, others in other cemeteries because of their faith.